All right, welcome to the Bitcoin Design Guide Jam session. Let me look up the number 62 here. As usual, we'll just talk about Bitcoin Design Guide and related projects, what's happening, what's not happening. And I will, as always, share the Google Doc for taking notes. Feel free to put stuff in there. I already filled up a few things. Thanks for being here. And welcome, Goran. First time you're on this call. Have you watched or have read up on what the specific call is usually about?
Well, as this title suggests, I guess it has to do with Bitcoin Guide, which I have read through a couple of times. But no, I haven't had the chance to view any of your recorded sessions before. So I'm pretty much a new cookie.
Awesome. That's great. And it's also great that you already looked at the guide a few times. So that's awesome. While we have you, then may I ask you what you found good and maybe not so good about it?
Right. Well, actually, most of the things I found very informative and very useful. And it's kind of a guide that I wish I had in several companies where I worked. So, just something like layout of, the ecosystem and what's going on and all the terminology. So it's all in place. The thing that made it a bit difficult to comprehend is that there is a lot of links, just leading you everywhere. So I guess, as somebody who just comes there for the first time, it be maybe more of a secure environment to just have one track to follow. I mean, it's not a big problem, but if I would have to single out something that made me a bit confused, that's it.
Yeah, that's a good one. And, all this cross-link that actually, initially it wasn't that way, but it happened over time because we realized we repeat so many things in a lot of places. So if we want to avoid all this duplication, we end up with all these links. But yeah, I can imagine that it feels like every second you can just kind of link out and read something else. And then you end up with a huge tree of content there.
And Goran,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I said yes, it can be a bit overwhelming, but still it's very obvious that it was written in a very good spirit, and that it's a concise place where information lives. So no doubt it is very useful and friendly.
You mentioned the word track, and what do you mean by track? In terms of a track, what would you have liked to see? How would you describe the track?
How would I describe the track? That's good. So
maybe more like an online place?
I guess if you are am I muted? No, I'm not. So it's good. So I guess when you are just coming out of the blue, and for example, you don't know the difference between the address and the account and the wallet. So I guess something that would clear the room of those terms, what's what. So maybe a track would be a very clear what is what. And then when you get into more complicated things, you know that you already have the hold of these basics. Right. So that would be the track, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. Would you have used it to onboard yourself as a designer then?
I did use it to onboard myself as a designer.
Perfect.
And it was useful.
Perfect. That's been the most common use case we've been hearing with the Bitcoin Design Guide. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Cool. And did you say you've worked at some Bitcoin companies? Or you don't have to share anything if you don't want to, but just curious.
No, unfortunately, I haven't yet. I am currently working in a crypto company. I mean, I've been for the last 3 years or so. Before that, I worked for Microsoft, and before that, I've been freelancing. I have background in visual design as well. So I did introduce myself at the channel a long time ago, but I haven't been present ever since. So I don't expect anybody to remember that.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions for Goran while we have him here on the while grilling him? All good.
Not yet. Maybe something comes to mind later.
Okay.
But hi.
Feel free. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for us? Should we do a round of introductions or?
Well, I kind of picked up that your presence is very prominent, Christoph, and I also see Mugashi like all over the place. So I'm just like going through the materials and reading like slowly. So I guess in time I will have questions, but currently I don't. I mean, if you guys wish to introduce yourselves, that's also cool.
Okay, Michael, what do you think?
Well, I mean, real introductions. I don't know if it's
Not the whole life
necessary,
story. No.
but yeah. I mean, I can just say, hi, I'm Michael. I'm a grantee working on UX and design in the inheritance space and the collaborative custody space, and been working on a couple of articles for the guide on Miniscript and on recovery. And yeah, what I'm working on now, we will discuss probably in a few minutes.
Cool. Thanks.
And also a hi to Anthony there. Feel free also to chip in if you'd like. You don't have to.
Yeah, sure. Everyone can hear me, right?
Mhm.
I'm Anthony, long-time lurker. Just trying to get a bit more involved. My interest sort of picked up after seeing the launch of the foundation. So I've been attending a lot of these calls just to find like a nice entry point and hopefully be a grantee like Michael. I have a background in visual design. I'm a freelance visual artist, but I'm trying to see how that can, sort of make its way into product design. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, great to hear. Good to have you as well. Be careful if you say you want to do stuff like Michael, because he really somehow picked the most technical and some of the hardest things you can think of.
Yeah, that's
Thanks
true.
for the heads up.
Yeah. Okay, but how about we just dig into the guide then, get through some of these things, and then we can chat more if we'd like. So I put a few things in there. I just wanted to point out the things that have merged since our last call, which was January 5. One of them is you can hopefully see it in my background here. That's on the multi-key page. We now have these diagrams. So I find multi-key stuff, it's like something where I'll get it, I'll look into it, I'll get it, and then a month later or 2 months later, I've kind of forgotten some details again. So I find these type of diagrams pretty helpful as well, you don't just logically understand it, also a little bit more intuitively. So those are live. And then a subtask of that was also that I want to continue is look into these other private key management for pages, for external signers, manual backup, and also see if we can use the same diagram format to just make that stuff a little bit easier to get into. So that's something that went live. The Covenants Design Challenge is live, which is on the Design Challenges page under Resources. Covenants is a topic. I think we have another learning call coming up on Friday. It's another super technical topic. And I think Friday, what we're going to look into is super complex, trees within trees within trees. Hopefully we can make sense of that one. And then the resources page header, that was just a very simple header graphic here that was added mid-journey naturally, as everything these days. So that's the stuff that went live. Then in progress, Michael, you have some fixes for the recovery page. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had this reading session on Friday, and there were some, let's say, some typos in the mock-ups, for instance, in this one, and other, let's say, like the formulations or the wording that I was using were unclear. So that was kind of uncovered in the call on Friday. So while it was still fresh in my mind, I started with that one. I think I covered all, or at least most of it. And yeah, it's just small changes, and moving the mockups further up, because we noticed that there was a lot of text before you could see the mockups, and I tried to kind of invert that a little bit so that it's kind of easier to follow the text. So just stuff like that. Yeah. Oh, and added some captions as well for things that were missing. Removed the on-chain reference that we found for creating wallets on chain. So that should be out.
Yeah.
And if good. Yeah, so things like these.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I saw it this morning, but I haven't gotten a chance to review. Should be pretty easy to get this reviewed and merged in. Any thoughts or questions about this one? We're good.
I was thinking, because I started working on these kind of on the follow-up use case for this kind of family inheritance wallet, and I want to reuse the kind of the elements and the styles that you have in the diagrams for the multi-key wallet. So maybe I come up with, or something comes to mind, to add a little kind of diagram also for this time-based recovery page, because maybe it would help to kind of show the use case, or the kind of, we have a visual representation like on the how it works page, where we have one, just in a different style. So kind of get these aligned to what you were working on, because I really like how friendly it looks compared to what I did. so definitely, I would at least for the next one, I'd like to somehow add a visual or two to kind of set the scene for the next page, and make it much shorter than this one, since it's building on the same principles.
Yeah, sounds good. Did you say you're also working on setting up a prototype for?
Yes, I committed to that. Right.
Cool.
But I didn't do it yet.
Because I was thinking about it over the weekend too, and I thought, like, there's so many screens on that page. I think what a user actually sees is really simple. It's really straightforward at a time. But when you see all the screens and the whole description on one page, it just feels like this is the most complex feature you can just imagine.
Yeah.
But I think the UX, the actual experience, will be pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And by the way,
I'll include that in this PR. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, you can do it separately too, whichever. So if you want to include it, just mark it as a draft, so we know not to review it.
Okay.
And just quick tip for anyone: at every page at the bottom, it has a link called "Edit this page." It takes you to GitHub, and that's where you can see the markdown source for it. And if you click on raw, you should be able to see the illustration, like Figma links to illustration sources here, like the headers and the private keys and stuff. It's a little bit hidden, but there is a way to get to the source graphic files.
Christoph, could you just show that one more time again, please? You scroll all the way to the bottom.
There's a link called "Edit this page." It takes you to GitHub, specifically to this page. I guess you can just, and there's a preview, and then there's a code tab. And in the code tab, we have this thing called editor's notes. That's where the person who edits the page should write a quick summary of what this page is about, and also link to any source files for graphics.
Perfect.
I think we're pretty good with it. I don't think we're perfect.
No.
That way, if anyone wants to improve not just the text, but the graphics on the screen, on the page, or reuse it for something else, they should find the source there.
Perfect.
Nice.
Open source.
I wasn't aware. I never clicked on that.
Yeah, it's a bit hidden. Yeah. Okay, cool. Next one is stabilizing Bitcoin value, which is a brand new page with that talks about basically stable coins and all the different techniques that can happen via synthetic currencies or discrete lock contracts, or just straight out tokens or other things, or you just use an exchange to swap. So that one got a bunch of reviews already. I put together this PR before Friday or Thursday. It was in a Google Doc. Now it's in a PR. So that one is ready for anyone to review. It's a bit tricky to understand. And Mo actually took some text, put it in ChatGPT, and asked for a summary, but ChatGPT did not summarize it correctly. So be careful if you do that. It's too complex even for ChatGPT.
Yeah, I've noticed this problem with in a couple of other areas as well, with kind of calculations of things, and yeah. So I would be also hesitant to just copy it.
Yeah, but maybe we should do a reading session on this one to kind of figure out what can be explained more easily.
We need a Bitcoin. Sorry, we need a Bitcoin version of ChatGPT that's highly trained. That doesn't. I don't think that exists.
ChatBTC. I mean, that's what Jonas was working on.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I also asked the 1010.1 team if they have feedback on this one. Maybe I can also reach out to StapleSets, not Chivo, Bitcoin Beach, Blink wallet team to see if they can review it. Yeah, that one. The next one. So after the stabilizing Bitcoin wallet, I'm going to continue on the contribute page refresh, which is Goran, maybe a little bit about what you mentioned. So we have this contribute page. It just gives you tons of things you can do. But there's a draft for a revision of this where it almost makes it more like a game where you have like milestone 1 or level 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And the first one is join the thing and introduce yourself and follow on Twitter. The second one is maybe do some reading or so. Third one is maybe join a call. And then, as you level up or whatever, you get into more complex things. And like the very top one is, you start your own Bitcoin open source design project and you're like a lead of whatever, you've done all this stuff. Trying to make that a little bit easier to ease into this, and also make it okay to say, well, I'm not going to do all of this. I'm just going to do that much because I don't have so much time, or I don't want to spend all my time here. So that's something that I'd like to pick up next.
Maybe like a testimonials of people who went through this funnel of joining Bitcoin designers. Like, how did this experience look to them? Like, I didn't do everything accordingly, but I'm still here. Sort of, after a while, I picked up something and worked on it.
Yeah, everyone has their weird zigzag into this thing, right? And then they come and they go, and then they love it, and then they get mad about it, and then they come back with something else 2 months later, and so it's just.
Why do they get mad about it? I'm still not in that phase.
Well, I mean, so it can be different things. For example, I've known some designers who get frustrated with the design process in open source because everyone works so loosely and maybe they don't feel understood, or there can be various different reasons.
Right. Well, when in Rome.
Yeah, it's something to get used to, though, for sure. So that's what I like to do next. Video transcripts. So I need to follow up on that one. That's what the idea with btctranscripts.com, where they start transcribing some of our videos. And we had some good conversations. I did some tests on it, but I actually need to follow up with, so we can get some first transcripts in, and then we can offer bounties. There's like a small bounty thing where people review transcripts and then they can go live afterwards. But it's something on my plate that I need to follow up with.
Christoph, just coming back to the make the contribute page more actionable. I think I remember I commented on the file on the Google document. What would be the best next steps with the? I'm just trying to see where that document is.
The document is not linked on GitHub because it has edit rights, and I don't want to have that publicly available. It's somewhere in Discord. So there's more stuff to fill in, especially with the higher milestones or whatever. That we really point out some very unique, different things that people may want to do. So there's. And to Goran's point, I think that's where it's helpful when multiple people chime in with their experiences of how so they can see kind of their own path in this progression a bit. Yeah, so and that's why I probably also need to reach out to a few different people to fill things in.
Yeah, 100%. It would be good if that would be a community effort, because at the moment I'm not sure how many people have actually read and contributed to the document. I know I have, but I have a different viewpoint. So I think it's very useful to put that in front of a few more people.
Yeah.
If you're good to look at it, Goran, we'd love to send it your way as well.
Yeah, cool. Why not? Yeah.
And Anthony, of course, as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially since Anthony said he wants to work up those stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that.
Okay. Video transcripts. Okay, backup guidance. Someone just typed that in.
That was me.
Okay.
I'm in the process of working on another multi-sig reference design. This kind of question of backing up multi-sig wallets is coming up again, and there is an issue that we created, like I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and should be kind of not something extremely big. So it kind of in parallel with the reference design, I'd probably like to work this out a little bit.
Yeah.
And have a kind of a PR ready by kind of mid of next month.
Yeah, there's this whole chunk of data that's crucial for your wallet, but that's not on chain, that you really need to capture with covenants and like this congestion management vaults and other stuff. There'll be more of that data that you really don't want to lose. Yeah, that would all be good. I think our backup page has some breakdown of the different types of data.
I've looked at it. For the daily spending wallet.
Yeah.
I've looked at the Bitcoin backups, how it works page, and there this is, I think, most only about about single sig.
Yeah, that's more of a practical guide. Yeah,
your seed. Yeah. So I have to think a bit about where to actually put it. These the multi-sig part, whether we put it into the savings wallet or enhance the backups page. So well, I'll think about it. And
it could be a variation of this one, anatomy of this wallet's backup, and for the savings, then it could be a variation of this where you have private key, you don't have Lightning, user metadata. That's stuff that, as it says, it's nice to have, but then you have this really important off-chain transaction data, wallet config stuff that's also very important. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, by the way, how are your next goals looking with all of the inheritance and all of that?
I have a huge messy Figma file where I just type stuff out and kind of compare the different let's say solutions that exist, going from like simple single sig to single sig plus passphrase, going to single user multisig, multi-user multisig, and these kind, laying out this entire scale. And what I want to do there is kind of lay out what it means for kind of these inheritance instructions, what you have to think about differently if you use just a single sig versus a single sig with a passphrase versus a Shamir backup with a passphrase. So kind of lay this out. And yeah, so that's one part that's taking a bit of time because I keep rearranging stuff. And then the other thing would be kind of continue working on this for now for this advanced Miniscript use case with the family, with this kind of inheritance wallet. But what would definitely be interesting as well is have the same or a similar use case for singles or people who don't have children, right? Because the problem still persists until you want to, unless you want to make a permanent donation to everybody else. And covenants could also be very impactful here, where you could actually, I'm not sure about it, but covenants could actually make single sigs become closer to or kind of easier to use or more robust to use as well. So these are kind of the next steps. I really want to write out the scale or the different types of general solutions.
Yep. That sounds good. Yeah, I was just thinking as you were speaking, is the general introduction to inheritance in Bitcoin might be helpful. Just how to think about it, how it's different from almost like our personal finance page, where it says these are how people typically organize their finances with current fiat currencies, right? And let's see how we can map that to Bitcoin. Kind of a similar idea. And then it might also be easier to then go into the different use cases and features that might be needed for it.
And also, just to tag off what Christoph said, is also highlighting why inheritance is important to people, like the actual, the real reason why you need to actually have this in place. Just I think most people, wouldn't fully, people will read the content if they understand that it's a problem that needs to be solved. And this is a problem that you're solving, Michael. So I think it's useful to educate people why they need to solve that problem as well.
Yeah. And the solution that you have is always dependent on your current situation and things like how much you have stored of your wealth in Bitcoin and what the personal circumstances are. So they might change or they will probably change over time. Especially the ones with the fees. We had a little chat with Christoph about that on Discord, where in 10 years' time, the fee structure might be completely different, or probably will be. So,
yeah, sorry, I keep nagging about that one right now because
yeah,
let me see.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Because so there's this big scaling discussion. I listen to some podcasts. Everyone says like, "Oh, the fees," but no, I feel like, yeah, I'd like to be more specific, right? Like, how much is it actually? Like, what's the real situation? And that's why I created this table here with annualized GDP per capita, which the World Bank puts in 4 categories: high income, upper middle income, lower middle income, and low income, and then I pulled out some countries from that, and then I compared like how much of someone's monthly income is actually a fee. So if you live in Madagascar, then a $5 fee is 12% of your monthly income, on-chain fee. Cool. So that's not going to work. Then we have the Bitcoin Lightning white paper said the Bitcoin network can only support 35 million people currently, assuming that a person makes 3 transactions per year. That's all it can do. So that means if price goes up, if more people use it, if fees go up, then I did this rough thing. Well, let's say fees go up 5 times because there's more network usage and the price goes up 5 times. Then we have a multiplier of 25. That means by whatever 2030, a transaction will cost 150 euros. So if you live in Madagascar, you can, with your annual income, pre-tax, you can afford a whole of 3 on-chain transactions. That's it. You have no money to live off of. And the reason why I started looking into that was coming out of the multiple wallets page, because after I looked at that and I thought, well, someone has all of these wallets, like how much are they going to spend? Is that really realistic? And then I was thinking I'd like to continue down this line with more research and then think about different scenarios where, like, which people can do on-chain, for which people will it remain realistic, at which points, and at which points Lightning will come in, and then at which points potentially eCash will come in, and then at other points where maybe banks will have to play the role, where traditional banks, regulated banks, and then just get a sense, because I feel like that will also help us define what products, what applications will actually be needed and what they need to look like. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, when you mentioned eCash, were you referring to Fediment's eCash or some sort of stable coin as?
Oh yeah, the Charmian, eCash, Fediment, and Cashew.
Fediment, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Which is a community cash in a way. Right?
Yeah, I roughly know what it is. So that kind of means that in some foreseeable future, it might happen that's the only currency you have, and you cannot go and store that on the main chain because it's way too expensive, if I got it correctly.
Yeah, yeah. On-chain might become a very rare thing to do. But
we had an interesting discussion around in the Covenants learning and design call around exactly that, where I think it was Owen said that what these trees of trees that Christoph was talking a couple of minutes ago would enable you to change basically ownership of Bitcoin without on-chain transactions, but with the same assurances. So that's also something that will develop, or we'll have to see how it will actually help scale.
Years out. There's not even concept.
Yeah, of course.
So, I have to check it out. Yeah.
I asked ChatBTC as well. What are the solutions for scaling Bitcoin? And it came up with these larger buckets, right? Layer 2 scaling, block size, sharding, lightweight clients, fee market, second layer solutions, consensus mechanisms. I think it would be interesting. Do you know if there's something that exists? This is for the visual brain thinking person. This is me asking the question. They say layer 2 solutions, and then they say, there's all these different buckets. Is there some visual diagram that exists somewhere that says, these are the possible solutions, and these are the ones that fit under layer 2, and these are the ones, I say possible solutions because there is no one solution. Is there some visual thing that exists with these?
I don't know of one, and they're really complicated. Then you have like CK rollups, whatever that may even be, and a bunch of other stuff. And I think layer 2 is also used in kind of scammy affinity scam kind of ways right now, where things pretend they're layer 2s, but they're not really. And then you have side chains and drive chains and space chains and spider chains, and it's like a total mess. But I think a big cutoff is always the point where you have to trade your Bitcoin to someone else's token that they just made up, right? And I think a lot of things just don't. It's very, very tricky. And I think the only things that are kind of everyone's cool with right now are basically on-chain and Lightning. And it seems like eCash is coming that way, and everything else seems too speculative or whatnot. You have Liquid, which is a side chain, but which people seem to be okay because it's been around for a long time. It's developed by one of the most experienced, savvy companies. But even there, you basically have to trade your Bitcoin versus like a Bitcoin token with someone in the middle, and there's almost no usage on there. It's tricky, but yeah, I would love to continue down that route and discuss these different things, the real world implications of fees, potential scenarios, and then where we may end up, because I do think we need to, if we come up with more reference designs, they should be informed based on these
100%,
protected ideas.
100%. Because at the moment, a lot of speaking from a researcher's perspective, I'm more on the research side of things. I think that we need to understand more properly who these wallets are being built for, because that's actually what the data shows in Christoph's visual that he created is, fees are just not accessible for some people, and that cuts off the accessibility for a very large population of people to have access to using Bitcoin wallets. And then forget about them using the wallets. That's the bottom line. So yeah, I definitely also want to go down this rabbit hole. I currently have a dedicated folder on my computer called scalability, and every single conversation that happens about scalability, I'm just feeding it in data. So haven't shared that publicly yet. It's some of our conversations and anything that comes up. So yeah.
I know one of the numbers that stood out to me is that someone in Switzerland makes roughly 200 times as much as someone in Madagascar, but we have a global fee market. Everyone pays the same fees. So it's not just double as painful for someone in Madagascar, not just 3 times, but 200 times more impactful. And that is just a crazy range. But yeah, the scaling stuff is not new. If I remember correctly, one of the very first responses to the Bitcoin white paper was someone saying this will never scale. So it's nothing new. But I mean, we now we know more, right? There are more things out there. We can investigate this and be smart about it. So anyway, sorry for hogging the conversation and going through this stuff. But yeah, I'll just be more annoying about fees. Yeah, cool. Anything else?
I added in a point. I don't know if we spoke about the backup guidance one yet. Did we? We did.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. We quickly talked about it.
I added in the case study for Bitcoin Core app. We mentioned it, I think, 1 or 2 times. Bitcoin Core app, for those of you on the call who are not familiar with it, it is the redesign process of the Bitcoin GUI. If you go to bitcoincore.app, these are the design documents that have been created by Christoph and a few of us in the community also helping to maintain these documents. We've gone through a very long, interesting process with redesigning this GUI, and it's nowhere near finished. But as we were designing, we thought it would be interesting to document and share with the ecosystem what's been done so far in the form of a case study, just tell a bit of a story. I'm now knee-deep in Bitcoin Core stuff. I have been a little bit more knee-deep in it since the last 2 months, particularly the last few weeks. I've been creating documentation, I've been writing stuff, so I thought, okay, while all of this is in my brain, also just put together a case study very quickly about Bitcoin Core app and see if that's something that the community would like to see. It's just because I'm knee deep in it at the moment. Like everything's there, it's fresh still. Yeah.
And that is a multi-year project. I think the very initial kickoff was in September 2021 or so. Still going, still working on it with more momentum now than ever before. We're trying to create world-class, top-notch design documentation, designs, make this really something that that's worthy of Bitcoin, I guess, and have a good design process as well. You're welcome to poke around there. It's going to be epic, Michael. I know you're laughing there, but it'll be the best of the best of the best.
And I wanted to second that. I wasn't laughing.
Okay.
No, those design documents are serious. Some serious design documents. But yeah, I mean, is it an idea that I just start putting together a Google document and we just take it from there? I mean, yeah. I don't know.
You gathered a ton of information there, and it's an ongoing project. So I feel like we're gonna have to cut quite a bit. Maybe we should just chat. I mean, you're welcome to just start something, right? Or just kind of review the information. Maybe there can be with such a long project, and that will continue. Ideally, this continues for the next 10 years or so, this project, and will continue to be iterated by whoever's gonna, wants to contribute. So maybe we can, it's a little bit different than, let's say, Wallet Scrutiny, where it was more of a short-term, like refined branding project. So maybe we can just, think about what the nature of the project and what would make a good case study for it.
Yeah, cutoff point, and yeah, okay. I'll go to the Bitcoin Core. I've been documenting most of the processes we've done, so I'll go there and I'll find some point where we can cut off, and then we can discuss it in the Discord group what we think would be the best.
And I think we also have probably 40 hours of recorded calls on YouTube that we can link out to for anyone who wants to catch up with the history of the project.
Yes, 100%. It's going to be a good one to document. I mean, write a case study about it. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, I'll put something together.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm also happy to help, of course. Okay, so something I wanted to, we have one more thing here, section landing page refresh issues. At some point we said, well, we need to revise these landing pages, like here it's the how it works landing page. It's just a few links right now. Section landing pages are meant to provide an overview over that section. Pretty straightforward. So it's not supposed to be super extensive, but at some point we thought, well, maybe we can make that a little bit more interesting and attractive. Like, for example, here, a page called Lightning Liquidity. The description is a primer on liquidity in the Lightning Network. Is that really helpful text? Maybe, maybe not. Can probably be better. Maybe we can put an image on there. Maybe that's just waste, right? But just to kind of take another look at them, at those landing pages. So I think it's a short one. I'd like to tackle that one next. And if you have any thoughts on those landing pages, if you use them, if you find them good, bad, whatever, feel free to chime in.
I actually found now that you mention it, I find myself more going through the navigation on the left than through the landing page. But that's probably because I know the guide better than. But yeah, I agree. It's basically a list of links, right, at the moment.
Goran, what was when you first landed, and please, I don't expect you to remember this because this is just a question. When you first landed on the Bitcoin Core Design Guide, what was your first entry point that you started searching? Do you remember? Was it like, did you go to the search bar, or did you just kind of go on the left side panel? How was your
left side panel, and sort of chronologically, hierarchically, so like one after another. But I actually remember when I first landed to the Bitcoin Design website, it was so I came across Discord, and then I figured like there's a website for this, so I went there, and I remember when I started reading, it's like, this is actually what we are trying to do on another project that I'm working on, and nobody seems to be reading these manuals, and these guys are like compiling it here for everybody to see, and they're obviously working. So it was a positive experience, definitely.
Yeah, I honestly think most people will never read a ton of stuff in there, and it's kind of, but it's like, there's so many conversations that have come up where I don't have to answer anything. I can just send, because I know most of the guide, I can just send people to that page and it's just right there. It's like it answers things. But yeah, it's a pretty big manuscript these days. And most people probably don't need everything in
It
there.
sure is, but like to your point, material design is also an immense document, and people still read it and learn it. So I guess, what's the incentive behind reading such a thing if it kind of makes you able to like do something or like sell that knowledge further, like add some value on top of it and sell it, then people will be motivated to do it. Why not?
Yep. Yeah, I think a big thing is always that you can I think usually people have something that they're working on, something that's on their mind, and if they can quickly find that information and the information connected to that they need, then and that's not a linear reading experience. That's kind of this Google search. You end up somewhere in the middle of things, and then you kind of click around to find related stuff that might be helpful, and those are just paths that you cannot really predict. Yeah, okay, so that's my generally I'm just kind of on this mission of just cleaning out a lot of old issues and tidying things up before starting anything new. That's just I'm trying to get through these days. And that's it. That's all we have on the list. We could talk about Telegram group summaries.
That's a good. So I had the ideas because I also looked at the Telegram group summary chat. And Christoph, please go give some context to it. But I think that can very well, we have the Bitcoin Design Guide roadmap, which I haven't contributed to yet, had a chance to read through. But I'd like this to maybe try to inform some of the future content maybe we're looking at, and maybe think about that in that way. That was just the idea that I came, but I'll allow you to do an introduction to this.
Well, unless anyone else wants to talk about some specific issues or something they're working on, or about UIKit or any other projects. Good?
No, good.
So I've been trying to, and a few people, there were several conversations about, well, there are all these wallet projects out there, and the ideal really is that we don't just create our siloed content, but we work with all these projects to help improve their stuff. And then the question is, well, what are they working on? And what are the problems their users are facing? And how do we find that out? So I'm part of all these Telegram channels of all these wallets, and I find it horrendous to keep up. It's like you look in there and it's just always some random thing, and there are just like 2,000 new chats, and it's just impossible. So I did a very quick search for, I thought, well, let's throw AI at it, right? That's the mythical magic tool of our time that can solve everything. So I found a way to export Telegram chats, which is pretty easy using a tool called Telegram Lite. The regular Telegram can't do that. Then you get basically a web pages, HTML files with all the chats, and it's split up into sometimes like 60 or 100 pages because each of them has kind of limit. So I had to write a small JavaScript to extract that. Then I had to throw all of that in a PDF in Pages at really tiny text, like 5-point text, to squeeze it all into 15 pages or less, because I used Google Cloud Document AI, and it wouldn't allow me to do more than 15 pages. But I mean, who cares? It's not meant to be read by people, so tiny text is fine. So I went through Phoenix, Blue Wallet, Blixt, and Breeze, and I got the last 1,500 chat messages, put them in the PDF, uploaded the PDF, and had the AI summarize them for me. And there were two options with Google Cloud AI, whatever, Document AI, bullet and paragraph. And you can tell it to be short or comprehensive. I always said comprehensive because I did short one time. It was just way too short. So, and this is kind of the stuff that it spat out. And I can share the link here as well. And it's a little bit mixed. So this is kind of Phoenix Wallet. This is the paragraph solution summary, and here's the bullet list summary. And I think they're both kind of different. The bullet summary it's nice where like there's one where it talks about a user sought assistance in doing this. A user inquired about the process of doing this. So that was pretty nice. And then the paragraph one, it describes a little bit more what the conversation's like, the general topics. So I think both are kind of cool. I've not looked through everything. There were some things where I added notes. But yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good starting point. And there was also one thing where it said a user complained about a high fee of 63 cents when transacting $150. And I thought that's not a high fee. So I definitely think there are things where it's important to validate and go back to the source. And I linked all the source PDFs in here as well. So yeah, so Mo, to your point was that we can use this to also inform next things in the guide and to potentially help these projects with to improve their user experience. You're muted.
I also just want to say kudos to Christoph, because I'm a UX designer, but I lean more on the research side. And we had in the community 2 years ago a sprint with a wallet and Blixt wallet. We had to go into their Telegram channel. We had to do get all the feedback. We had to copy and paste every single user message in. That is so incredibly time consuming. I mean, I'm talking like 3 hours at least copying and pasting. So this process is just saving so much of time. And I actually had the idea now on the call to actually share this more publicly and be like, hey, wallet developers, you can actually get your user feedback in a very quick, efficient way. This is how you do it, these 3 steps, and just go share it with them, because they all have these Telegram channels, which I'm sure is super overwhelming for them. And I'm sure not every single user goes and files issues as well. They leave them in the. I think just this methodology, if it's going to be possible with Discord, with GitHub issues, it's possible with Telegram. I think it's going to save UX researchers a lot of time and also product teams a lot of time.
Yeah, I don't think GitHub or Discord is that easy. With Telegram, I found it through the second tool. But, that's all of this stuff can be figured out. I think first we should try to look at what we have here and see how valid this information actually is and how useful it is. And then I think we could well document it somewhere. I mean, link out from the guide. We could use it for... You could apply to Bitcoin core dev IRC chats, see what they're feeling, or just other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems helpful. And you found a tool called chatpdf.com or so, so this Google Summary Cloud thing, it didn't allow me to ask questions. It just summarized it, and that's it. But the chat PDF, it allows you to ask specific questions. So you upload your PDF, ask a question, it will answer that. I'm sure if you pay for GPT Pro, you can probably also do it.
I've heard about that. Somebody talk about that they put all these prospectuses of the Bitcoin ETFs into ChatGPT and ask questions about how stuff is done, so that they don't have to read them.
Yeah.
So, but they were referencing a paid version. Definitely. Yeah. How long did it take you to get this done?
Well, I started, I think Thursday I requested the Telegram. So I figured out, I think Thursday or Friday, I figured out the initials of the process. And Telegram, it makes you wait 24 hours before you can download them for security. And then Sunday evening, I got a message or so or somewhere, and I just downloaded the files, but I didn't worry about it. And then this morning, I figured out the rest of the process and did these things. So it was 2-3 hours total. Figure out the whole thing. Really wasn't a big deal.
Damn. Nice. Yeah, I cannot do anything of the sort. I'm just a dummy. But it's a great way to extract info.
Yeah,
Because in these channels you lose yourself and you lose your mind. I'm not in any of them anymore.
Yeah, but if we can put our own workflow together, so this becomes super easy to do. Maybe there is even a good tool out there. But I think first we need to validate that this information is actually useful and it doesn't just make us feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Blixt one, I think Breeze, I always grab the last 1,000 to 1,500 messages, which were like 1 or 2 pages. For Breeze, I think it goes back to June 2023. For Blixt, it goes back January 26, 3 days. Because there's just so much chatter going on in the Blixt channel. But the AI also summarized that there's a lot of banter happening about all kinds of topics, and it's a little bit more communal.
So, Christoph, I saw your question there. You asked which transcript did I run through Chat PDF. I'm now going to take the original PDF that you have, which is it's 15 pages long, and I'm going to also run that through Chat PDF. Then, because the version that I ran through was the summaries. So I ran summaries through, and that I think is a little bit biased because it's already summarized. So maybe,
Yeah, it's that's actually interesting to ask the AI what features or so people will need, because there's a literal interpretation of what people say, and then there's the reading in between the lines.
100%.
But yeah, we can model different things. Let's see what happens. Yeah,
Let's do it.
I don't know exactly where to take this next, but I guess just leave comments on the document and have discussions about it. Okay, we're near the end of the hour now. Time to wrap it up. Everything good? Any questions? Any thoughts?
No, just put a reminder in my calendar to go through the document for tomorrow.
Last question for Goran, specifically because this is your first call. What sort of motivated you to just jump on the call and get involved and, be like, and if you don't, you can just share the shortened version. You don't have to share any nitty-gritty details, but what was your main motivation? Sorry for just coming on and joining us.
Right, no problem. So similar to Anthony, I'm sort of looking for an entry point. Not looking for anything specific, just like to get things rolling. I'm not much of a social monster to go around, forum or any social media and post around. So I guess this would be the good way to meet people. And the topic was inviting. You were talking about this guide, and I read it. It's like, why not? Eventually I would like to work for a Bitcoin product sometime, but I'm not expecting any of that to happen here. So this is just an entry point.
Perfect. Appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Awesome. It just made me think about, we have the newsletter coming out Wednesday, in which we always try to put in some opportunities and always trying to connect people. I think a lot of projects, they don't shout that we need designers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not like, yeah, we need a better design process. We need designer. Like, who wants to do it? We need this. We need that. So poking around, showing up, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, asking questions, just designing something and sharing it or so. I think all of these things are good ways to get your feelers out.
Right. I mean, there is one extra piece to that. If I'm not like taking too much time, I always feel more motivated to work on something that resonates with me, ideologically or whatever, like something that I like to see as a benefit to this world. So,
Yeah.
I a long time ago, it was maybe my first product design job. I worked for casinos, and I was miserable because like I hate gambling, and it's just not working for me. So similar thing now. Like Bitcoin is something that I'm interested in, and I enjoy reading. And why wouldn't I put these two together? So that's the motivation behind it. Like, there is not much more.
Yep, I think we're all in the same boat here, pretty much.
Yeah, probably yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for
Thank
joining.
you for being friendly. Thank you for being very friendly.
Welcome. Thanks for coming. Thanks all for coming. Also, hey Vidushi. We'll see you on Discord then. And feel free, if there's anything from this call, just follow up, chat on Discord, GitHub, wherever. So I'm going to stop the recording now.